All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our third Business Success Seminar. I would like to give a huge thanks to our sponsor, Delta Community Credit Union, for making all of this possible. I would like to turn it over to our speakers and we'll get started. Enjoy. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate you guys being here. Are enjoying these webinar series. Definitely let us know. Give us any feedback you have. Let us know if there's other things that you'd like us to cover as we talk. My name is Harlan Hammock. I am a business and leadership coach. I help businesses to turn common sense into common practice by systematizing their business, making their businesses more efficient. My goal is to try to get you to have a business that runs for you, generates revenue for you, whether you're there or not. I run a Barnstormers boot camp. I've got my business success mastermind group, and I have a new podcast that I've started calling The Courage to Lead. So hope you guys will check those out. There you go. All right, so the purpose of our meetings, what we want to try to do is help you guys be more successful in your business. And why are we doing that? Well, number one, 80% of our economy in the US is based on small businesses, your businesses, right? 1.5 million new jobs are created each year by small businesses like yours. What we want to try to do is help you be as successful as possible. The more successful you are, the more it helps everybody. You've heard that term, the rising tide lifts all boats. We want to make sure you guys are as successful as possible. So that's what we're trying to do. You heard James talk about taxes. 93% of businesses overpay on their taxes. You need to get with your CPA, talk to them about your taxes, see if there's something you can do to maximize and have an optimization plan for your taxes. Or reach out to James, and they can do an assessment and see if there's some way that they can help you. Patrick Finneran talked about the foundational elements of your business. You need to have those foundational pieces. You need to have the core values for your business. You need to know what your vision, mission, and purpose statements are for your small business. You need to be able to share those with your employees so they know where you're headed and how they plan to get there, right? Today, we're going to talk about some of the other things that you'll need in your business. We're going to talk about knowing your numbers, why it's important to know your numbers. You need a strategic plan so you know where you're going, where you are now, where you're going, how you plan to get there. You need to be able to systematize your business so that your business runs efficiently and can run without you having to be there. And of course, time management as a big part of everything. So helping turn common sense into common practice, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be giving you all the information that I can in the time that we have, and I promise to give you 110% of my personal time. There are going to be some times where you're going to have these flashes, what I call BFOs, just blazing flashes of the obvious, all right? When those happen, write those down. These are things that you probably either didn't think of or, hey, I wish I knew that before, or that is something I need to focus on. Write down those BFOs. And in fact, put them in the chat box so you can share with other people that this is something that you just picked up in this particular session. And I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use when I work with my clients, and you can use those tools, and I'll make those tools available to you at the end of the program. So you went into business. Why did you go into business, right? Did you go into business so you could work longer hours? Did you go into business so you could spend less time with your family, so you could miss those vacations, so you could miss spending time with your friends and family? Work twice as long for half the pay, 3 times the stress? Well, no, of course not. You went into business specifically because you wanted to make a difference, right? You wanted to add value. You went into business to accomplish things. Well, as I work with businesses, I see that businesses struggle in 3 key areas: their time, their team, or money. Time, not having enough time, not spending their time wisely. Worked with one lady who she had all of her time set up working in the business. She wouldn't delegate. Once we got her to delegate, she got time back in her life. Worked with another guy, he was working 80 hours a week, would go home exhausted at the end of the week, but not be able to really point to anything that he had accomplished. We went through, prioritized his time, got him down to 20 hours a week. He is loving his business again. Team. Businesses struggle with trying to attract, hire, and retain great employees, right? Once you get those employees in, you need to be able to keep hold of them. And then money. Money is a big thing for a lot of people. Are you hitting your revenue and profit targets? Do you have revenue and profit targets? Do you know how much money you need to get from profit to live comfortably? And if so, are you generating that type of revenue? I'm working with a guy right now that he is losing money, almost $10,000 a month on his business. We're trying to get him back in the black because he's having those money struggles. So my question to you, whether your business is struggling right now or not, my question to you is, are you driving your business or is your business driving you? That's really the question about today. You should be driving your business, and that business should run independently without you having to be there. My goal is to get you to where your business runs without you having to spend all your time there. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to talk about is your numbers. You need to know your numbers. Increasing your revenue is one thing, right? That's simple. It's not easy all the time, but it's simple. You need to increase your revenue. But what's more important is your profit. Profit, the money that you get to keep, that's harder. Profit equals stability. You want to have that stability in your business. If you're not generating the profit you need, then that's something you need to work on. This picture here that I've got on this slide, it's called the profit equation. This is one of the tools that I use with my clients, either one-to-one coaching or group coaching. We go through this. How many leads do you talk to every year? What's your conversion rate on those leads? What's the revenue per customer? What are your customers worth to you on a revenue wise? And then the gross margin. What is your gross margin? What are your fixed costs? When you work through this worksheet, you can see where your net profit is coming from. And then you have those levers that you can mix and move and adjust to make sure you improve that profit. So the first column is for current, or say last year's numbers. You can back into these numbers. Then go to the future column. What if you improve this by 5%, 10%? That bottom line doesn't just improve 5 or 10%. It's compounded based on all the things that you change. The more you can do to improve those levers, the more things you can do to improve that, your net profit is going to increase. So when we talk about knowing your numbers, you need to know your revenue. You need to know your direct labor charges, your cost of goods sold. You need to know your material costs, your inventory costs. You need to know your fixed cost, your overheads, revenue per customer, and your break-even calculation. At what point in the month do you pay for all of your fixed costs? Because if you can move that date earlier in the month, then the rest of the month is all profit, right? So there are ways to do that. This form, if you want a copy of this form, my email's there at the bottom. Send me an email or put something in the chat that says, yes, I want this form. I'll email that out to you as soon as we're done with the presentation. But you have to know your numbers. Now, I'm a pilot. I'm a private pilot. I use a lot of pilot analogies when I talk to my clients, work with my clients. I've written a couple books. First book is called Flight Planning, A Pilot's Guide to Business Success. And the second book is called Barnstorming, right? A Pilot's Guide to Growing Your Business. I use flight analogies because it's easy for somebody to hear a story and then apply that to their business. What I want to talk about is the flight planning or the strategic plan that you need for your business. As a pilot, when I get ready to fly outside the area, I file a flight plan. That flight plan consists of where am I now, where do I want to be, and how do I plan to get there? I start with my departure airport, everything I know about that airport, from the elevation, orientation of the runways, the plane that I'm flying, the weights and balances and the capacities, everything about my current situation. Then I cover the same information for my destination airport. So now I know where I am, where I'm going, and I can lay a plan to how to get there. On that path, I have checkpoints so that I know at so many minutes into my flight, at this altitude, on this compass heading, at this airspeed, I know that there should be a water tower off to my left, or a bridge, some other landmark, so I can see that I am on track. If that landmark is not there, or it's way behind me on the other side of the plane, I know I'm off track, but I know how to get back on course. You need the same thing in your business. You need a strategic plan. Most of you, when you started off, you probably had a business plan, but that's something you probably put together once, and it's been a footstool under your desk ever since, right? You probably never looked at it again. It's collecting dust somewhere. The strategic plan is different. Strategic plan is stop what you're doing, look at where you are right now and where you really want to be and how can we get you there. When Patrick talked last time, we talked about the core values, why those are so important. Every decision you make in your business is based on your core values. The vision, mission, and purpose. Where are you going? How do you plan to get there? And then communicate that with your employees so they follow, right? your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's your foundational elements of your business. If you have those in place, then you can start making decisions on what you want to do and how you want to get there. You need to understand your finances, your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet, cash flow statement. You need to know how to read those like you read the newspaper. It tells you everything you need to know about your business, and you should be reviewing those on a quarterly basis at the very least. And then you need to know, what are your products and services? What is it you're in business to do? And who are your customers? Who are you serving? If you don't understand those and have a clear picture of who your customer is, it's going to be more difficult in your business. But this is the where you are now, part of the strategic plan. The next piece is, where do you want to go, right? We have what we call the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. This is the big 10-year plan. If you could come up with some plan of where you want to be. Do you want to franchise your business? Do you want to grow to have multiple locations around the South? Do you want a big building with your name on the side? Whatever that is, that big, hairy, audacious goal should help compel you to move forward in your business. And then, how do you plan to get there? What are the actions that are required? What are the financial targets you need to make on a quarterly basis to make sure you're achieving that? And then, how are you going to measure your progress? You need to look at your KPIs, KRIs. What do you need to do to measure how far you're moving along that path? All right. There's another tool that I use with my clients. It's called the one-page strategic plan. It has everything that we've been talking about. It has your core values. It has your vision, mission, and purpose, your SWOT analysis across the top, all those foundational elements. And then there's a space to put in your BHAG and everything you need to do over the next few years to start moving towards that, including your financial targets. Again, this is a tool I'll easily send out to you. If you send me an email, let me know, or put in the chat box that you want a copy of this. I'll send this out to you and you can start working through this plan. Having that strategic plan is one way to actually visualize exactly what you want to accomplish and then lay the plan on how you want to get there. Okay. So next thing I want to talk about, you guys probably remember in school, Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? Abraham Maslow wrote a paper back in 1949, I think it was, for some psychological journal. He was talking about what motivates us as human beings. And he put together this hierarchy of needs. The base of the hierarchy is the physiological needs. From a physiological standpoint, what do you need, right? Food, clothing, shelter, the oxygen that we breathe. Those things are foundational. If you don't have the physiological needs met, you can't hope to move up that hierarchy, right? Safety and security goes out the window. Love, belonging, being part of a team or a tribe goes out the window. Even self-esteem or the esteem of your colleagues is not useful to you if you can't breathe, right? Imagine if you were at a cocktail dinner, you were going to receive an award from your esteemed colleagues, and suddenly you started choking on your prime rib. All of that would go out the window until you could get oxygen back. Same thing happens in your business. Mike Michalowicz, author of Profit First and Clockwork, his new book, Fix This Next, he came up with the business hierarchy of needs. His foundational element is sales, right? The creation of cash. Your business needs sales. You need influx of cash, and it needs to be consistent. If you don't have sales, if you don't have cash, sorry, you don't have a business. You have a job or a hobby, right? You want to make sure you have sales, but it's more than just a transaction where you're just handing $1 for a widget. You need to know, what are your products, who are you trying to serve. You need to know how much money you need to make to live comfortably, so that you know how many widgets you need to sell and how many customers you need to attach that. All that goes into that sales funnel at the bottom. Once you get sales together and it's running smoothly and efficiently, then you can start looking at profit, right? The creation of stability in your business. And then order is the next level, the creation of efficiencies in your business, systematizing your business. You may float between these different levels, but you have to have your sales working 100% for you. The website you see down at the bottom, you can actually go out to the Fix This Next website and take the business hierarchy of needs assessment for your business. It's 25 yes or no questions, really simple, less than 10 minutes. But at the end, you'll get a report that says, this is what you need to work on. This is the one thing that's not quite as efficient as it needs to be in your business. And then you can use that to start making improvements. Go back a couple months later, take the evaluation again and find out the next thing that you need to fix. All right. But start with your sales. Are you doing everything you need to generate the sales that you have? So we talked a lot about knowing your numbers, having a plan, right? This is part of the plan on how you need to improve your business. But now, how do we systematize the business, right? What do we need to do to build those systems? I always use the analogy of the chocolate cake, right? If I had a recipe, basically a system or a process is a recipe. If you follow the recipe exactly as it laid out, you will end up with that product, in this case, a chocolate cake. If I shared this recipe with everybody online, everybody here, we would end up with what? Maybe like 20 identical chocolate cakes. But if, say, Parker ends up with sugar cookies or banana bread, then one of two things happened. Either he did not follow the recipe or he was given the wrong recipe, right? But we know exactly what's happening and we know how to fix it. In your business, if you don't have your business processes documented, if they aren't streamlined and then shared with everybody, you don't know what to fix. You don't know what you need to do to improve those processes, right? So it's critical that the business processes that are critical to your business need to be documented. They need to be streamlined. They need to be taught to everyone so that you can measure them, you can repeat them, and you can scale them, right? Because that's really what it's all about. Every business runs on a set of business processes. One of the easiest ones to understand is the order to cash process. Every business, I don't care if you're a dog walker or a dentist or a donut maker, every business runs on this process. You take a customer order, you process the order, you fulfill the order, and you collect payment for the order, right? Every business is the same. Where you get into the specifics of your business are things like, how do you take a customer order? You take it online, you take it in person, you take it over the phone, you take it through a third party. How do you process the order? What does that mean for your business? Are you doing background checks or credit checks? Are you assembling things? Are you mixing paint colors? And then the fulfillment of the order. Do you deliver it? Does the client pick it up from you? Do you have it drop shipped to them, or do you go in and install, right? And then finally, collecting payment. How many different ways are there to collect payments? That's where your business starts getting into the specifics. This order to cash process that's on the screen right now is what we call a level 0. It's the highest level, 30,000-foot overview of that process. Getting down into the details is where you start defining exactly what happens in your business, who is doing it, and when they're doing it. Now, the boxes on here are important, right? But I want you to pay attention to the arrows in between the boxes. Those arrows are the handoffs between one process and the next, right? This order to cash is a series of sub-processes. The handoff between those and the handoff between who is doing what task is critical. Working with one client, they had their guys out in the field completing their orders out in the field. And they'd send their orders in. Somebody would process, say, okay, we're generating the invoice to send to our customers, and those invoices would sit in the boss's inbox for weeks. Weeks. You can't run your business that way, right? You need that cash flow coming in. So when you complete an order, you invoice for that order. They started off, I think they were like 20 days, 25 days from task completion to the invoicing. We've got that down to 5 days now. And now from invoicing to actually collecting payment, it came down from almost 40 days to like 22, 23 days. So we've made those efficiencies because we looked at the process, where the handoffs and where is the ball being dropped. If you don't have them documented, you won't know where you need to go, right? Another process you may be familiar with is the new customer acquisition. How do you get leads? How do you generate leads? How do you nurture those leads, right? Lead management, make sure that you're getting the most out of those leads. Sales opportunities, when it's time to actually propose, how is that proposal process done? How is that sale done? And then the new customers, how do you nurture those new customers, keep them in the fold, and have them send referrals to you, right? That's another process that may be critical to your business. If it is, you need to document it, make sure it's as efficient as possible, and teach everyone involved how to do that process. This is a list of standard processes for your business. You may have most of these in your business. You may have some additional ones. Order to cash, we covered. The customer acquisition process is important. If you're a manufacturing company, you make to order or make to stock, right? So are you making widgets to put on a shelf and sell at some future date, or are you making specifically to a customer order? Employee acquisition and employee development is a great process to document. Your account management, sales and marketing, inventory management, quality management, process improvement, and for gosh sakes, HR. You don't want something to happen in your company and have the leadership team going, wow, how do we handle this? You want to know what's going on, right? And the employees need to know what those policies are that they follow. And if they don't follow the policy, here's a procedure for either um, uh, teaching them, training them, right, getting them back on track, or terminating them. So you want to make sure that all those processes are documented within your company. Again, my email at the bottom if you have questions about certain processes or something like that, or want a longer list of processes for your specific business, let me know. I want to talk about time management a little bit, because time management seems to be a big issue. You know, I've worked with clients that, like I said, one guy was working almost 80 hours a week and had no idea what he had actually accomplished during that time at his job. We usually do a time audit, whether it's a one-to-one coaching or in the group coaching, we do a time audit. What do you spend your time on during your week? What are the tasks that you do? And how much time are you spending on each one of those tasks? Once we get a long list of what those tasks are, we start prioritizing them, right? We use the Eisenhower task format, right? We look at what is most important, what is most urgent. If something is important and urgent, that's a category 1. That's something you do right now before you do anything else, right? Category 1. Category 2 are things that are important, which means you have to do them, but they're not urgent. They could be done later. You schedule those. Category 3 are things that are important. They have to be done right now, or they're urgent. They have to be done right now, but they're not that important. You don't have to be the one to do them. Those you can delegate to someone else. That's why it's important to grow leaders within your business. You can delegate these things to them. And finally, category 4 are the things you probably should not be doing during work. A lot of email that you get don't need to be handled during work time. Phone calls you get, text messages you get don't have to be handled during work time. Cat videos on Facebook don't need to be done during work time, or set those aside for just on your lunch hour, right? You want to make sure that you're using your time as efficiently as possible. So what I use is what we call a block calendar. Now, I learned this from a guy who is up at Georgia Tech. He works with the freshman students at Georgia Tech, and he brings the students in, and if they come into his program and they follow his program to the letter, he guarantees that they will graduate Georgia Tech with a 3.5 grade point average or better. And his students graduate at 3.8 or 4.0 or better. And it's all time management. Now, he gives them a 24/7 calendar, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and asks them to block out time for all those things that are important to them. First thing he asks them to do is block out their sleep time, right? 7 to 8 hours during the week, and as much or as little sleep as you want on the weekend. He leaves that up to the student. Block out that time, nothing interferes with that time. Then he blocks in those other immovable objects, the time you spend in the classroom, an hour here, hour and a half, or 2 hours there. Those are the class times. You have to be there on that date at that time. So that is an immovable block of time. Next, he says for every 1 hour of student time, put in 2 hours of study time, anywhere on the calendar. They don't have to be adjacent. They can be anywhere on the calendar. And then the rest of the space left over is for life. When do you want to go out with your friends? When do you want to go to the movie? When do you want to go play Frisbee golf, right? Put those things in. He has them marked down all the way into hygiene. When are you going to bathe? When are you going to do your laundry? When are you going to do grocery shopping or call your mama? All those things are put on the calendar. There's a time for everything. If you put it on the calendar and then follow that plan, everything is available. And all the leftover time is for those little things that pop up during life. Same thing in business. Block out your calendar. Put in when you sleep, when you wake up, put in when you need to go to the gym, if that's important to you. Meetings that you have every single week, block out that time so nothing interferes with that. And then the rest of the time as things come up, put those in the calendar. If you can block out the major segments of your day and the things that absolutely have to be done on this day at this time, you'll learn to be a lot more efficient with your time. And you'll also see that you have a lot of spare time left over, right? So that's what I want you guys to do, is think about doing a time audit. Think about prioritizing all the work that you've done. Put those big immovable things on your calendar and then follow your plan. You need to have a plan and you need to follow it. If you don't have a plan or you aren't following the plan you have, that's probably why you're running into trouble. All right. So in summary, hey, know your numbers. You need a strategic plan of some kind. You need to systematize your business, put those processes in place, and then time management. Manage your time as efficiently as possible. But I know there's probably a bunch of you that are saying, oh, this doesn't apply to me. My business is so successful. That's great. If your business is that wildly successful and none of this applies to you, I would love to invite you to be a guest on my podcast. I would love the rest of the world to know what you've done to get to where you are and be as successful as you are. So reach out to me if you're a business owner and would like to be on my Courage to Lead podcast. And again, any of the tools we've talked about in here, if you would like copies of those, shoot me an email, put it in the text box or the chat box, and we'll get copies of those out to you. All right? And that's it for me. Do we have any questions?
Well, Harlan, we actually had a lot of engagement in the chat box. I don't think there were any questions that I see in the chat box, but we do have multiple people that would like for you to send the forms, and also they want to know if you can share your entire PowerPoint.
Yes, we can
Okay.
make that available.
So
Absolutely.
yes, everyone that's on here, we will make sure that you get an email of the forms and the entire PowerPoint. Are there any questions? Sharon, Cheryl, Nikki, any questions? All righty. All right, well, thank you so much, Mr. Harlan. I appreciate it.
Yep.
And then, yes, so thank y'all so much for joining us today. I appreciate everything. I do want to give another shout out to our sponsor, Delta Community Credit Union, for making this all possible. And yeah, so this is our third seminar of our 4-part series. So please join us in 2 weeks from today for our next session. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.